Hi, Goddess. Today I'm going to share with you how to build your intuition, how to build your power. This is the most important video for you if you're a woman who wants to know how to own your power, think more clearly, process things in a sharper, more clear way that it truly supports you, not only in your love life, because I'm a love coach, but I'm an intuitive love coach, and I help you. I want you to be able to process things more clearly. I want you to feel better about yourself. I want you to have better self-esteem, and I want you to go for more if that's what you want. So I've been working at this. I'm a love coach. I'm an intuitive love coach. I've been working with clients, with female clients from all over the world, the feminine consciousness. I'm nearing to 9 years now. And I've been studying the energy of, what helps women, trust themselves, believe in themselves, go for more, receive more. I've been diligent, like in my body and my soul, and I hope that you can feel this. This is not going to be a regular video. This is not just going to be a 1, 2, 3 step. Today, what we're going to share with you is, how to hone in your power. If you feel like you've hit a plateau or you simply want for more, today, what I'm going to share with you could shock you. But I want to share with you some of the most potent blocks that actually impact the feminine consciousness when it comes to achieving more, attracting more, whether it's in their love life, whether it's in their finances, whether it's in the career. And that's why I'm going to ask you to watch this video until the very end and share it with every woman you know. Because once you watch this, you're going to see what I mean by it. I also have the opportunity, I'm inviting you to a special event where I'm going to show you and train you on how to build your intuition and your power and your knowing. Okay. With that being said, my name is Nicole. Make sure that you're following me and just read all about, what I do, like the feminine consciousness, helping you feel like a goddess. So why is this the most important video? It is the most important video because I'm going to share with you what is the number one thing that I first noticed when I started to work with women, like I said, almost 9 years ago. I noticed that as women, we tend to say, I don't know a lot. An average, when we are talking, we can say at least, I don't know 4 times in the middle of like 2 sentences. We say, I don't know a lot. What is the I don't know is the fawning response. Remember, we have flight, freeze, fawn, or fight. It could be the fawning response. It could be the freeze response. It could even be the run response. The truth of the matter is that as women, when we feel like we have a threat, let's say a threat going back to when we were a kid, it's a lot easier for us to go into the fawn response, to the freeze response, to the flight response, but not necessarily to the fight. So we all have some of these defense mechanisms, but this is the most important video for women because it actually happens a lot. We have hidden blocks to our knowing and our intuition. So let's talk about it. And how does this affect you? Well, I noticed, for example, one of the stigmas, 2 of the main stigmas in which people try to take away the power of women is they either call us a witch or they call us the B word. Right? And as women, and also what happens is if you grew up in a misogynistic environment, what could happen was that you noticed that there were authority figures, potentially men, who would tell you, or you would perceive the energy of men know more than women, or men talking you down, telling you have to be logical. What you're saying doesn't make any sense. Speak clearly. A lot of the times people will tell you that you didn't make any sense. I'm hearing the word nonsensical. Maybe you've been taught that some of your ideas are nonsensical. So I want you to see how this impacts both in your career and in your love life. Let's talk about love life. It can impact where, you don't feel safe expressing your truth. Maybe you feel like you're with a partner who's talking down on your emotional side. They consider your emotional side unreliable. Therefore, you kind of start doubting yourself. Your voice starts to change. Your voice starts to quiver. You start to feel like anxious when you're communicating something. Or even you might go into the fight response where you have to be forceful and you have to get your way. But one or the other is that your voice is not being authentic. even if you're going into the flight, freeze, fawn, fight, like fawn response, or you're going into the fight one, you're not being authentic. It's creating stress in your system and you're not feeling totally like you belong. So, in order for us to not only communicate with more power, but to also build our intuition, our knowing, we are knowledgeable. We have knowing within us. You know, both sexes, we do, but we don't have to be tearing the other one down to feel like we can coexist. And what I've seen over the years, I'm promising you this, I've seen this time and time again. Women being in a kind of like a state of a confusion. You might feel like you're very clear in your business. But for example, when it comes to your love life, you start feeling into the I don't know, I feel kind of confused. Because it could be unresolved trauma. Okay. It can be unresolved trauma of not feeling like you can speak your truth, like you're not going to be accepted. There could be a fear of being ridiculed. There could be so many things. You could be making millions of dollars, okay? And this can still exist within you, and this can be an upper ceiling for where you want to go next. I've seen women who work in male, I'm getting dominated industries, like there's a lot of men. And sometimes the men just look at you like, so what are you gonna say? Right? Like they don't take you seriously. And maybe you feel like you have to go a little bit into the fight response, or I'm getting, because I heard keyword of what I got intuitively was word dominate. You might feel then that you have to dominate. Okay. But all of these reactions, because more than a response, it feels like it's more like a reaction. It keeps you in a state of exactly that reactive energy. You're not feeling safe. With our feminine energy, we want to cultivate creativity. We want to feel like we belong. We want to be able to receive, okay, without fighting, without having to fawn, without having to be in a resistance, without going into flight. We want to feel safe on the inside. And the truth of the matter is, with working with countless of women, interviewing countless of women and experts everywhere, like I've been diligent studying this, it's the one thing in over this 8, almost 9 years that I've been doing this work that I notice. We say, I don't know a lot, we freeze. How does that impact your power? It impacts it when you're communicating, but it also impacts it because remember how I was saying that as women, we can be shamed either as being called a witch or the B word, you know, criticizing the sexuality of our feminine energy. They're trying to shame us, shrink us. But then there's the spiritual side of it where they like, oh, it's like you're kind of like witchy or like intuitive. Nah, it needs to be logical. And we need to create space because when it comes to intuition, I'm a big believer, you know, in the angels. The angels have helped me in moments where nobody believed me, right? And we all have guardian angels. We all have love. And in order to build our intuition and our truth and our power, we need to be able to occupy space, not go at it in a fighting, dominating energy. It's just presence, it's knowingness, it's a flow. Like you exist and you're confident and you're powerful. So I can speak for myself. My dad always used to tell me, Nicole, you're not making any sense. You have to be logical. I started to develop my intuition and my awareness. This is the thing because it also relates to power. He was kind of squashing me a little bit, right? So what happens is that when I was doing clearings, subconscious and emotional reprogramming clearings, to feel more confident, one of the tipping points that I got or ideas was this idea that I have to be logical. I cleared it, and I kid you not, my intuition and my awareness to manifest, but not only like pick up truth around me, grew at least just from doing that one clearing, grew at least a 35%. My life went from a little bit of chaos, no matter the amount of money that I was doing, because it was stress that I was dealing with. I didn't feel like it was safe for me to speak, for me to share. I would get nervous sometimes just being around men and companies. Because what happens, and what I'm going to go deeper with this, is that we know this. What happens in the world around us, sometimes they're called dynamics of power. It's of domination. You know, like you have to quote unquote dominate to get what you want. Whether you do it in a feminine, I'm hearing almost seductive way, but it almost feels like it's a game. Or you have to, I'm hearing, squash somebody else or show them who's in quote unquote in power. We've all had to learn different ways of quote unquote having to adapt and get power in the world, both in our love lives, but also in our careers. And then that's how a lot of our relationships become a push and pull, a dynamic of play, but you don't like of playing and having to be something and always having to kind of keep the attention of something. It's scarcity in base in many ways. Now, just because other people are operating that way, but you want to adapt, you want to change into more confidence, more self-trust, you don't have to operate those things, because whether you see that or not, these dynamics are actually, um, they are, I'm hearing from your revenue of life, from your energy they're taking, like they're putting you like in a red number because you are somehow depleting yourself, having to constantly be in control. You know how they sometimes say that as women we're like micromanaging? Not true, but it's a stressful energy because it's coming from a lack of trust. So, in order to build your feminine energy, you want to understand and your power, you don't have to go into those energies of domination. You want to be powerful, right? But it starts with, and these are the beliefs that I want you to know, that I want you to become aware of, how these can make an imprint in our consciousness when we're thinking, when we're communicating, and it can block us from attracting more love, more money, business opportunities. You want to build your intuition and your power. So, like I said, there can be a stigma around intuition, around the spiritual side of things. So I'll give you some examples. When you were a kid, this is how it starts. Kids cannot remember when your parents used to tell you, you can't know that. Kids cannot know that. You just want to know too much. That information is not available for kids. That is not for kids. That is not for you. You are too nosy. You're ugly when you cry. You're gonna get wrinkles if you cry. How does that impact? Like, it impacts your self-expression, and then you start to suppress. Suppression blocks intuition and knowing. I'm getting a key example, and this is like, I'm going to give you like a warning with this one because it has a little bit of violence in it. Whenever you would kind of speak your truth sometimes to your parents, and some parents would slap you. Okay, that shock, that impact can block your truth, and then you don't want to know things. You go more into the fawn response. It's better to fit in. It's better to be like the rest. It's better not to know things. These are some of the dynamics that, even though they happened when you were a kid, I've seen this. I've worked with clients, hey, no matter the age, 50s, 60s, 30 somethings, like 40 something, just it happened during those ages. I guarantee to you that there's at least an 80% that it has an impact in how you think and how you process now. And it's one of the main reasons why, as women, we go around the world sort of like trusting ourselves, but sometimes not feeling like we're totally trustworthy. Okay. And that energy can not only show up in how you portray yourself and how you communicate, but it also gives the sense, even when you're dating with men, like you're not communicating from a confident place. And it's specifically, if you are around a lot of men who are in the energy of domination, you don't want to be with a man who disrespects your intuition. Okay, you don't want to be with a man who disrespects your intuition, who looks down on it, looks weird on it. Deep down, the feminine craves somebody that accepts them. Both the spiritual, both the like sexual piece, absolutely everything. But what happens is that from a very early age, as women, we learn that we are not going to be accepted for who we are, and we have to adapt, become something that is more pleasing, more adaptable, to get what we want. Okay, it's survival energy. So one of the reasons why you could be not attracting men who truly see you for who you are is because somewhere in your energy, in your energetic imprint, you have the belief, that's one of the things that you can clear, you believe that you have to hide. Okay, that it's not safe to speak your truth. What are people going to think about me? Maybe, hey, you go to church, etc., and you have prophetic dreams, but then you're like, ooh, I don't know if I should say this because what are people going to think about me? You see how a lot of things, all of these things become suppression. Then you start losing a part of yourself, your shine, your light, and that also impacts your money, etc. When you clear these things out of your system and how exactly they impact you, you will become more confident It will bring you more revenue. You will attract more acceptance. You will be able to tap it into new creative ideas. Creativity is everything for the feminine because we are life creating force. We cannot be tamed, but we are basically taming ourselves or letting society tame us. Whether that's memories of women being shunned for their spirituality, so many of these things play a role. I was talking about this with a friend. This is rampant. How often women are constantly, almost every day, I'm going to be very honest with you, even when we are going through legal procedures, like, I'm going to go there. I went through a situation years ago where I could have gone through a legal procedure because, somebody tried to do something to me. And I felt extremely unsafe. And one of the reasons why I chose not to speak was because I felt like I wasn't going to be supported and I was going to be shamed. I had somebody break into my space, and I had proof, data, etc. But I didn't feel safe in speaking my truth because why? Like, I knew people would try to shame me in some shape, form, or the other. And over the years, I have been, working at this, building my capacity to love truth. What I recommend for you, and I'm gonna start to wrap this up, is this is the most important part of this video. And I would love to know if you have any questions about this. I'm curious to know how this impacts you. I want you to think about how this is actually hindering you and become aware of this. If you are tired of being in relationships where men treat you like you're crazy, or people downplay your insights, or you are around men who want to try to control you, they love your insights, but it only to a certain point until it becomes kind of like a threat to them. Think about how this impacts you. Are you in corporate environments where you're being constantly talked down as a woman? I promise you that I can help you be in your power and attract more. You don't have to fight. None of that. It doesn't have to take a toll on you because it already is, whether you realize it or not. And that's why I'm inviting you to look into this, because it's actually one of the things that I really had suppressed. I'm going to speak for myself. Like, I went through that tough situation like maybe over 5 years ago. And I'm going to speak true into this. I'm being honest. One of the things that I'm most passionate about is truth and going deep into the feminine psyche and to helping women grow, feel more confident, be more blissful. And I noticed, though, that when I was sharing a lot of things in previous videos that I did over the years here, I noticed that some people didn't like what I was saying. I could feel the vibration and the energy of people not liking that I was sharing certain things, maybe talking about the feminine shadow, unconscious things, and people would try to shame me, criticize me, tell me how long, like, why do I have to talk so much? Why do I have to do this? A lot of negativity. I started to, people would constantly put me down, and you would see even in some of my older videos, you could tell, and I could tell too, that when I was talking, my voice, it sounded a little bit agitated. It's like I was fighting. It was the fighting response because I was used. I grew up in an environment, not only did I grow up in an environment, but then I started to experience that those years ago, where people would always put down what I had to say. And back then, part of my survival mechanism was to try to get them to see the truth. So you could hear my voice in some of those videos that I was trying to get people to see it rather than because I wasn't feeling totally safe. And I'm not wronging or I'm not shaming. This is the thing about truth and knowing. And this is why I say we all have things that we learn that it would be beneficial for us to unlearn now in the present moment. One of the things that happens with me is that I sometimes act like a mirror because I have like my big three are like water placements, and I sometimes see the shadow clearly, but everybody that works with me knows that I say it with love because I have to tell you the things that I'm seeing that most people are not going to tell you. That's one of the reasons why I'm your ally. And I never do it in a shaming way. I actually invite my clients to create that safe space for themselves. It's all love. So basically what was happening is that there's a lot of different reasons. Like, even as an intuitive, love coach and intuitive, some people would just they're kind of curious, but they don't totally believe what is being said. They think of you and they call you kind of like, somebody that's a liar, somebody that's trying to manipulate. Because when we are confused, when we go into I don't know vibrationally, sometimes we defer. This is the interesting part. We defer to the feedback of others, the feedback of what our parents guided us and how they guided us to think, and maybe some of our parents guided us not to trust. But the thing is that life, God, source works through people. And one of the biggest things that we need to develop is discernment. So, what I am offering you right now is to understand how these places, thoughts, and ideas taught you that you couldn't totally trust yourself. Maybe you were in environments where your parents or friends or colleagues would make you feel like what you said was not important. They try to reduce you as a woman. And I had no idea that I had this going on until I had to go deep, until it was shown in my face, like bluntly, like, Nicole, you need to see this because you've been around a lot of people who try to squash your power. That's what I'm saying. It's about dynamics of power. Let me see what you're saying here. Men like my outside shell. That's nice. It would be better to see my inside as well. Exactly. But you don't have to stay there. That's what I'm trying to say. You can change this. Because when you reprogram your energy to feel safe on the inside, to be in your fullness expression, guess what? You attract the men who see it. You attract the men who love it because you're vibrating that it's safe to be you. When you're not vibrating that it's safe to be you, then you can block, opportunities from coming in. So let me know if that resonates because it's you're protecting yourself. But when you're protecting yourself, do you see how you can block opportunities? Do you see how that can impact situations? It's not about being in protection mode or hypervigilance. For everybody that's listening and whoever this resonates, it's actually about feeling safe from within. And that boosts your magnetism and your power of attraction because you're not in a fighting energy with men. You're not in a fighting energy with people. You feel safe to be you. So I'm glad that this is resonating. If your brain and if your nervous system thinks or prefers to be in hypervigilance and sees the value of staying in hypervigilance rather than cultivating knowing and peace and power, nobody can stop you from that, okay? But that can definitely block things from you because you're basically co-creating in a universe that you're not fully trusting. In order to trust your universe, you got to trust yourself and you got to trust that you're loved. And you have to be able to know how to navigate, those people who are trying to control you or manipulate you, So for example, as I was saying, I've been in spaces where you're taught that what you're saying is not important. Everything is constantly a control or a manipulation. And when you're not feeling safe and you don't know how to deal with that, you go into your defense mechanisms, right? You go into fawn. You're like, I don't know. Or as women, we need to feel safe to go for more. And that's the most important difference between men and women. When we are making decisions, basically, and thank you for the hearts. When we are making decisions, we're constantly wanting to feel safe. But we also need to know that we can trust ourselves, that we are powerful, that it's safe for us to know things, to develop our intuition, to develop our truth more. So things change. So I wanted to say one last thing about this. I don't want to lose train of thought, but there is an event, like I said, a master class and a training that I have for you, that I prepared for you. I've been in spaces where there's been competition, women or people not liking when I say things. Like, people really try to compete with you because they feel triggered. It's a defense mechanism. Remember how I'm laughing because I was saying this to a friend yesterday. There's people, in our defense mechanism, as women, this is very key. If you feel like you've experienced some perfectionism, think about how this impacts your creativity and your knowing. You feel like you have to know things all the time. And that can be a block. Instead of being a knowing, you feel like you have to know things. So because you're trying to protect yourself, and basically you might not know something, but you have to pretend that you know it. You have to demonstrate that you're capable. And you don't realize that you're in overdrive, you're in like defense mechanism. You're like, you may miss cues that the situation is not calling for that, but you might be interrupting people and just having to prove that you know things, because maybe somebody when you were growing up constantly told you that you didn't know enough, or that it was an embarrassment, like, some of the things that you were saying. You're like, you know what, I'm going to prove to you that I'm not an embarrassment. But you might not realize that it's been 20, 15, 40 years, 35 years, and you're still like, I have to compete with you. Like, I have to tell you what I know. And you do not let yourself be in the space of being a learner. And a lot of women, we operate in this life because we don't feel safe not knowing. I want you to feel into this. There's different layers. You were told that you shouldn't know that much, but because we've been taught to be perfect and to be seen, we feel like we have to know everything, and we don't want to be accused of being dumb, and then we are like, oh, I have to know this, and then it becomes a competition, but then you're not that good at receiving, because receiving from somebody is a competition. Receiving from another woman is competition, and receiving from another woman, it means that you're less than them, quote unquote. Okay, so that could happen, like sometimes when you're learning from somebody, you kind of feel constantly triggered and you feel like you have to one up them, but you might be missing your blessings in that moment because you're seeing the other person as a threat. And these things are the things that impact us in our feminine consciousness. I know that there's also women who only feel comfortable learning from men. Why? Because there's some of that energy of men know better than women. Okay, so I'll even take it as this far as to say how sometimes as women we say, in order for me to get things done, I have to be in my masculine. Where do you think that comes from? What is the feminine for? Is it just to get a man? No, the feminine is all about power, intuition, knowing, bliss, receptivity, not having to stress and overcome. But when we say that when we need to get things done and we go into the masculine, I wonder if one of the reasons why we say that is instilled misogyny, where we're taught that men are better than women, or men or masculine energies are more valuable than feminine ones. And then how does that impact us rejecting ourselves? Do you see how this is the most important video that I want you to partake in when it comes to your feminine power? Okay? We do ourselves a disservice. It's time to step into knowing, clarity. I know enough. It's safe to not know. One of my favorite phrases is, I don't know what I don't know. That's when I'm the most available to learn something new. Our brain, after we're 36, there are studies that have shown this. It starts to become more fixed. We start to think this is how the world is, but we have to keep on learning. We have to let our creativity be inspired once again. We have to embrace the fullness of our creativity and our feminine energy, to know more, to be more at peace. So if you want to build more of your intuition, for those of you that are joining, I'm here to say I beg you to watch this video from the very beginning. And I want you to see how this is impacting your quality of life, how this is draining you, and you're draining your soul, because your soul is yearning for more. And what I'm going to share with you, I have my Develop Your Psychic Intuitive Power Masterclass for women, where I'm going to teach you. Let me see. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, because I'm going to teach you. I've always been very intuitive, but I've also been put down a lot, criticized a lot. And I want us to break free from the misogyny, like the imprints of the misogyny, whoever it resonates for you, so that you feel confident. Because I'm getting to tell you, there's this dynamic where what happens on everyday experiences that you have with people is that people are constantly seeking power, control, manipulation, domination, one way or another. But that energy is draining, that energy is taxing. What you want to do instead is tap into creative ability and power. You want to be able to see those things and not have to react to them and enjoy and create from your bliss. So what happens is that people, they have hierarchies of power, and they feel like you have to be part of that hierarchy, and they block your third eye knowing, they block your knowing. They want you to keep you to not see things, because for them it's quote unquote safer for you to not know things, but for you to go to them. My intention as a love coach and as an intuitive is never for you to have to depend on me. I want to show you how to tap into your own intuition. And the thing is that when sometimes, and I love these trainings, like maybe you're trying to take a training on, how to do tarot or oracle card readings, but but you're like, but I'm still not, getting to where I want to go, is because somewhere in your consciousness, there are beliefs that trap you, that make you feel lesser, not like when they tell you that you cannot know things. I want to help you feel safe knowing. I want to help reduce those points of competition on your energy, because you will be able to tap it into a flow of energy, life force, which is the feminine, and you will be able to create and lead without having to fight, and be more of your authentic self. In this training, I'm going to share with you how to unblock your intuition, feel safe knowing things. This is going to boost your creativity. This is going to help you as you're dating people. This is going to help you with your company or your revenue. This is going to help also teach you on how to stop and prevent people trying to block your knowing or block your senses. People try to control you. Have you ever, for some reason, I'm getting to tell you, this used to happen to me. Whenever I would get paid, I would have somebody always reach out to me and ask me for money. Whether it was a family member or something, people can have psychic imprints on your energy. They know things about you because they're acting out of extremely reactive energy. They're feeling powerless on the inside, and they feel like they have to take some of your energy. And I want to be able to show you how to navigate these things in a way where it's not draining you, it's not making you feel like helpless, it's not making you feel tired. Do you know the amount of women, around maybe reaching like 40, you stop, like there's so many people who try to take away your energy, like partners, parents, etc., company places. And I'm getting some of it is that you also give your energy to them. So I'm going to share with you how to build your psychic power, how to build your intuitive power, your knowing, okay, so that you can protect yourself, so that you can take care of yourself without blocking your energy from receiving more. Because you might not realize this, but you might be putting a lot of energy to having to prevent, having to fit in, having to be a certain way, having to depend on other people. Yes, God life works through other people, but you want healthy connections, not connections where people are trying to siphon your power. Okay, and these things are very real. We cannot just be in la la land like, oh, people are not like that, let me just keep it 5D, let me just know. People are trying to take your power. You need to be able to bring your 5D to where we're at, and you need to be able to bring your consciousness and enjoy your life, So if you are interested in this, if you want to specifically clear from your subconscious, from your nervous system, from your emotional imprint, this doubt, this fawning response, this confusion, like that you have around like your energy, you want to feel more confident, you want to know more of the truth, and you also want to know how to protect your energy. You want to clear these imprints. I have an event that's called Develop Your Psychic Intuitive Power, that is for women, is for the feminine energy. If you identify as feminine, I invite you to come, please. And in it, I'm going to share you these things. We have 6 module trainings and clearings with the angels, plus 3 live events that are clearing and training. Clearing is, like I said, the reprogramming. You want to feel safe knowing, and you also want to be in spaces where you feel accepted and cherished for your knowing. You're not attracting men who are competing with you. It's safe for you to know the truth. So let me see. Yes, partners that have that take energy. So yes, that's what I want to offer you. I noticed that sometimes when we reach maybe, like I said, 40, I'm getting 56, like there's so many energies that you can get bogged down. Even when you're younger, it's like bogged down of sometimes we're just taught that we're crazy. Like, I remember not wanting to go to the legal procedure simply because I said they're gonna label me as crazy. I knew that I wasn't prepared for that. And that was one of the moments where I could clearly see more of the truth, of how unsafe I really felt. But I've been able to implement this in my own life, safe to know the truth and how to navigate people and dynamics without shutting my own psychic intuitive awareness. I invite you, one of my biggest things is love the truth, choose the truth, because there's so many different emotional dynamics or relationship based dynamics where we sometimes prefer not to see the truth, and we lie to ourselves, we deceive ourselves. And think about how much that impacts you, and what are the things that you desire to create. Creativity is connected to the spirit